We open on the 8th floor of the tower, the wasteland of death. An army of players marches through the frozen landscape. At their head stands a man with a grim, determined look. He raises a fist, rallying the troops behind him. This is Kyojo Itsuki, a guildmaster here to face an unbeaten guardian. His soldiers stand ready, swords raised for the alliance raid. He looks over the massive force he's assembled for this single purpose. But his gaze shifts as a new group finally arrives. The legendary guild, Blue Eyes, makes their grand entrance. And leading them is the rank 1 player himself, Narukami Subaru. Itsuki greets the masked man with a confident smile. They shake hands, a meeting of 2 powerful leaders. The other players whisper that with Subaru here, they're just picking up scraps. Subaru's hand tightens on his blade, offering a quiet response. He implies that anyone looking for leftovers has found them, but hidden in their handshake, he passes a glowing red artifact. Itsuki is stunned to see a legendary single-use recovery item. Subaru tells him to keep it, just in case the raid goes south. He then asks Itsuki to return to their guild after the battle is won. He can give the item back then, a symbol of his return. A flicker of sadness crosses Itsuki's face. Subaru adds that if he doesn't plan on coming back, the gift is his. The unspoken meaning of his words hangs heavy in the air. But their moment is shattered as a powerful presence is felt. The guardian of the 8th floor has finally appeared. Itsuki screams for everyone to brace for impact. A colossal, multi-headed venom dragon, the Hydra, emerges. Subaru looks on, unimpressed by the grotesque beast. Dark energy begins to crackle from his clenched fist. Lightning surges around him as he promises the monster its end. The Hydra's eye glares with malevolent intent. It unleashes a torrent of venomous energy. Itsuki screams for his forces to prepare for the blast. But Subaru is already moving, a blur against the chaos. He cuts through the dragon's attack with impossible speed. Drawing his blade with a single fluid motion, he unleashes a wave of pure destructive power, effortlessly canceling the Guardian's opening move. Itsuki can only stare, muttering that Subaru is always so extra. The Blue Eyes Guild erupts in cheers for their leader. But one of his members questions the secret exchange with Itsuki. Subaru simply turns to his guild, asking if they are ready. He rallies his elite team to finally conquer this floor. And with that, the legendary guild charges into the fray. But from the shadows, a new observer watches them with disdain. He confirms with his subordinate that their hidden forces are in place. With a cold smile, he gives the order to begin their own plan. His allies wish him luck, their true intentions still a mystery. The mysterious man's gaze hardens, his scheme now in motion. Back on the battlefield, the Blue Eyes healer prepares her support. The guild's vanguard clashes with the Hydra's many heads, each one a monstrous beast in its own right. A masked female assassin leaps ahead of the group. Her eyes burn with focus as she closes in on her target. She lands the first significant blow against the Guardian, her reckless charge earning a complaint from a teammate. A cocky brawler challenges her to a damage contest. He follows up with a devastating strike of his own. Another guild member joins the impromptu competition. He declares the loser buys dinner and unleashes his own power. The third challenger unleashes a flurry of strikes, and one of the Hydra's heads recoils in pain. The healer tells them to press the attack, promising to handle all of the defense herself. But as she focuses on her barrier, a presence appears behind her. It's the shadowy observer, asking if her shield can block him. Her eyes widen in pure, unadulterated shock. He drives a blade through her back, mocking their confidence. Subaru whips around, sensing the sudden betrayal. The healer collapses to the ground, mortally wounded, and the traitor stands over her, his work complete. Through his mask, Subaru's eye burns with cold fury. The man taunts him, telling him to pay attention. But Subaru is stunned, recognizing the face of his old friend, Itsuki. The scene shifts, recalling the tower's first message to all players. A command to climb and prepare for an unknown end. A trial or a blessing, its true purpose remains a mystery. And so everyone strives to reach the unconquered peak. People from countless worlds, each with their own mission. All of them continue their endless ascent. We flash forward to the aftermath of the raid. The Hydra lies defeated, its massive corpse littering the battlefield. But the victory came at a terrible, bloody cost. Subaru gasps for air, battered and broken. He sits among the fallen, remembering he told them to run. Looking over his dead comrades, he whispers that he never gave them permission to die. He can only call them idiots for their sacrifice. A system window warns him of his own critical condition. If his fatigue hits 100, it's game over for him too. He looks up at the mastermind, demanding to know why. Subaru demands an answer, but Itsuki just offers a smug, chilling smile. He explains that for 10 long years, this moment has been his only goal. This elaborate betrayal was the only way he could ever hope to defeat him. By sacrificing everyone to keep the legendary Blue Eyes Guild occupied, he screams that every gift from Subaru was a torment he couldn't bear. And that is the simple, bitter reason for choosing this path. He looks down on the broken hero, declaring the end is finally in sight. He then pulls out the recovery item, mocking that he won't need to return it now. After all, the entire Blue Eyes Guild is going down with their leader. He tries to console Subaru, saying he'll at least die a hero. You know, for what that's worth. But Subaru just smirks, noting that Itsuki always did love the sound of his own voice. His hand clenches in the snow, bloodied but not yet broken. As Itsuki turns his back, Subaru accepts that his own life can't be saved. But a fire still burns in his remaining eye. He declares that this doesn't mean he's just going to lie down and die. Itsuki whips around, his confidence finally cracking for a moment. Subaru reveals a legendary item, a powerful fan-like blade. Itsuki can't believe it still has uses left as Subaru prepares to swing. He grits his teeth, knowing he only has a few uses left. He glances over at the last 4 surviving members of his guild, and with a final, desperate act, he unleashes the item's power. A massive gust of wind sends his comrades flying to safety. Itsuki screams in rage, ordering his men to hunt them down. His forces hesitate for a moment before giving chase. The legendary fan hovers in the air, its purpose fulfilled. But Subaru isn't finished, offering a simple, defiant no. He tells the entire army that they're all staying right here with him. His fatigue skyrockets to 95, limiting his remaining power. But he doesn't care, unleashing his ultimate skill. Thunder Lord descends. Itsuki can only watch in awe, muttering that Subaru is stubborn to the very end. Itsuki questions why Subaru would go to such lengths for his friends. He sees the answer in his eyes. A man ready to die for his cause. But Subaru declares that without his permission, no one is going anywhere. Itsuki's men realize they're trapped with a cornered beast. With a final war cry, they decide to charge him all at once. Subaru becomes a blur of motion, intercepting the first wave. Itsuki watches from afar, confident his men can handle the weakened player. But Subaru's hand stops a spear just inches from his back. He shatters the weapon, his focus solely on the traitor. His fatigue hits 97, and he knows he's running on borrowed time. He can't afford to drag this out any longer. He parries another strike, a whirlwind of desperate energy. His fatigue climbs to 98, the strain etched on his face. Dude's running on fumes and pure spite at this point. He unleashes a shadowy beast of pure destructive force. The attack tears through the enemy lines, a final, desperate gambit. A bloodied spear falls to the frozen ground. The soldier who landed the blow screams that they finally killed him, but Subaru grabs him, asking who exactly they think they killed. A massive burst of lightning erupts from his body, sending the entire army flying in every direction. The soldier who celebrated too early collapses, defeated. Subaru pulls the man's blade from his own chest. He finally falls to his knees, surrounded by the fallen. The remaining soldiers stare, wondering if the monster is finally down for good. Itsuki calmly walks through the carnage to face him. He remarks that Subaru's era has come to a pathetic end. A system window confirms it. Fatigue is at 99, 1 point from death. But Subaru's hand clenches, telling Itsuki he should know better. Because even at the very end, he's not going down without a fight. With a final, desperate roar, he declares that he will be the one to win. His eye glows with the last of his power. Itsuki holds the recovery item, mocking that Subaru's life could have been saved. But his smug expression shatters into disbelief. As Subaru's final attack descends upon him, Subaru's consciousness begins to fade into the void. He reflects on his life and his one remaining regret. But a strange sensation breaks through the darkness. A smell? Suddenly, the sound of metal clattering echoes nearby, and he finds himself sitting in a trash can. Well, this is a new low. He looks around the grimy alley, wondering if this is hell. A system window appears with a new name and pathetic stats. A sharp pain hits him as he rejects the unfamiliar name. Other players mock him for being weak, unlike the legendary Subaru. His eyes widen as the pieces start to click into place. He hears someone mention that Narukami Subaru died 20 years ago. He's stunned, questioning whose body he's even in. He scrambles out of the trash can, his mind reeling. On the ground, he spots a familiar-looking device. He picks up the player kit, a spark of hope in his eyes. He immediately searches for his old guild, Blue Eyes. The search results confirm it. 20 years have passed since that day, and an article shows a picture of an older, successful Itsuki. The man who betrayed him is still alive and well. A memory surfaces of a late-night talk on a rooftop. He remembers Itsuki telling him he wanted to leave the guild. His friend offered no real reason, just a cryptic promise of future understanding. He'd promised to always be Subaru's shadow, a vow that now feels sinister. He overhears that Itsuki has been stuck on the 80th floor for 2 decades. The weight of 20 lost years hits him all at once. He finds himself standing before a massive building, a memorial hall dedicated to none other than himself. Inside, his legendary mask is on display. A holographic tribute plays for all to see. He can't understand the point of all this. Who would go to such lengths to honor his memory? A recorded voice begins to play over the speakers. It speaks of a hero who almost conquered the tower, a man who inspired them all to remember him forever. And the founder of this very hall is a face he knows all too well. His body trembles with pure, unadulterated rage. It's Itsuki, the man who took everything from him. The traitor boasts about carrying on his legacy. Oh, the irony is just delicious. He wonders if killing him once wasn't enough for the man. As Itsuki declares his victory permanent, Subaru makes a silent vow to his old friend. He'll rewrite this entire twisted history. He won't let his comrades' sacrifices be in vain. This second chance will not be wasted. But his moment of resolve is interrupted as he bumps into someone. He quickly moves to help the fallen person up. But something about the person catches his eye. The boy is wearing a replica of his old mask. A man and a woman rush over, calling the boy Minato. And Subaru realizes they're all wearing masks. He looks around, a strange feeling washing over him. He rubs his eyes, trying to clear his vision, because what he's seeing can't be real. The entire memorial hall is filled with his copycats. A flashback to Itsuki's chilling words of mock sympathy. He told Subaru not to worry. He'd still be remembered as a hero. In the present, Subaru finally understands the twisted meaning. A cold fury burns in his eyes as he thinks of his old friend. He pushes through the crowd of his own impersonators. He approaches the memorial shrine built in his honor. He realizes this entire spectacle is just another one of Itsuki's lies. But then something catches his attention. A strange blue light emanates from the flowers. His eyes lock onto the source of the glow. The crowd shoves him, trying to keep him back. But he forces his way through, desperate to reach the shrine. He stumbles and falls before the memorial. Apparently, his fan club is a little too hands-on. His hand reaches into the sea of chrysanthemums. He pulls out a single glowing flower, whispering a name, Asagiri Shigure. Elsewhere, on a rooftop overlooking the city, 2 cloaked figures watch from the shadows. One chides the other for their carelessness. The other questions why they go to such lengths every year. The first, a man with white hair, pushes back his hood. He explains that he leaves the flowers in hopes that Subaru might see them. His companion asks if he really believes Subaru is still alive. They worry that Itsuki will find them before they find Subaru. But the white-haired man has unwavering faith in his long-lost leader. As the sun sets on another day, Subaru finds himself in a secluded forest, catching his breath. He wonders if the person he's thinking of could possibly still be alive after all this time. He looks down at the flower, which has now solidified into a crystal. Later, he sits in the shabby room of the body he now inhabits. He searches for any trace of his old guild, Blue Eyes, but the search comes up empty. Still, he knows Shigure is alive. He's been in hiding for 20 long years, and Subaru knows the reason must be Itsuki. He wonders if any of the others he saved managed to survive. But as long as Itsuki is out there, contacting them is a death sentence. Besides, in this new, weaker body, he's powerless. His first priority is clear. He has to get his old strength back. Accessing the memories of this body's original owner, he learns the player qualification tutorial begins in 2 days. A flicker of hope ignites within him. As long as his friends are alive, they can meet again. 2 days later, he arrives at the tutorial test area. Inside, a proctor oversees the trials. This is Hyuger, and he does not look impressed. A young challenger barely survives his first test. Hyuger notes that he only just scraped by. He asks the boy if he wants to try the next, harder stage. A system window explains the challenge. More goblins for better rewards, but the kid wants no part of it. He confirms he passed the basic test and is promptly teleported out. Hyuger sighs, another pathetic tutorial complete. He complains that the quality of recruits has gone completely downhill. But as he checks his list for the next participant, his eyes lock onto a familiar name. Just then, Subaru steps into the arena. The proctor mutters that this name sounds like trouble. He watches the newcomer, wondering if he'll even pass. A system window appears, and Subaru's trial begins. Hyuger announces the beginning of the tutorial, but before he can finish, Subaru is already a blur of motion. The proctor is stunned, wondering what just flashed past him. The first wave of goblins is already down. Subaru smirks, glad he spent the last 2 days testing this body. He notes that it has potential the original owner never tapped into. When asked to proceed, He tells the system to hurry it up. Huger's jaw drops at the kid's sheer audacity. A goblin head rolls to a stop right at his feet. He looks out over a field of carnage, completely bewildered. All he can do is watch as Subaru continues his flawless assault. He realizes this isn't just random sword swinging. The boy is thinking too, even 3 moves ahead. He carves a path through the horde with practiced ease. His grip is steady, his blade an extension of his will. Huger knows this is far beyond just being good with a sword. He admits that even he couldn't move with such precision. Subaru glances back, a look of pure confidence on his face. The proctor concludes that this skill is impossible, unless he's Narukami Subaru Reborn. Well, he's not wrong. Another goblin falls to his blade. He stands unfazed, the last monster defeated. The system announces he's cleared 49 steps and can now face the final boss. Though he's breathing hard, Subaru agrees to give it a try. He readies himself among the fallen goblins. Suddenly, the ground cracks with a powerful energy. A massive clawed hand erupts from the floor. Huger screams for him to stop, reminding him he's not the real legend. A colossal goblin king emerges from the rubble. A system window confirms its appearance as a result of his progress. The proctor yells that taking on this boss is a suicide mission. But Subaru tightens his grip on the blade, and with a defiant look, he simply refuses. He lets his sword fall to the ground. The proctor absolutely loses his mind at this display. As the Goblin King charges, Huger screams that he knew this kid was trouble. But Subaru is already moving, throwing a small, sharp object. It lands in the monster's leg, a seemingly pathetic attack. The Goblin King looks down, more annoyed than injured. It watches in confusion as Subaru kneels among the fallen. He picks up several throwing needles, asking if the boss is surprised. Holding the small blades, he proposes a little bet. Will the boss take him down first, or will he turn it into a pincushion? His eyes glow with a dangerous, confident light. He unleashes a volley of needles with blinding speed. The Goblin King roars as the projectiles find their mark. Its face contorts in a mask of pure rage. The massive beast is peppered with tiny blades. It swings its axe in a wide, desperate arc. But Subaru easily dodges the clumsy attack. He lands perfectly, analyzing his opponent's every move. His focus is absolute, his mind already calculating the next step. A memory flashes back of him training in a forest. His thrown knife misses the target completely. A woman named Reina tells him he's doing it all wrong. She smiles, holding up a simple pen. She demonstrates the proper grip and spin, explaining that anything can be a weapon if you know its center of gravity. Her throw is perfect, hitting the bullseye dead on. Back in the present, the Goblin King bleeds from a dozen wounds. Subaru explains the simple physics of his attack. He credits a woman named Reina for the lesson. Huger watches, amazed at this exploitation of the rules. He's not just a swordsman, but a master of thrown weapons. The proctor can only conclude that the boy is a genius. No, he thinks, that word doesn't even begin to cover it. And with a final groan, the Goblin King collapses. Subaru calmly retrieves his sword from the ground. He tells the fallen beast that it was nothing personal, and with a single clean strike, he ends it. A system window confirms the Goblin King has been defeated. He's cleared the tutorial for the first time ever, but wonders why the practice phase was so intense. A flood of notifications announces his rewards and a new tutorial shop. He wonders what he can afford with his newfound points. He's never seen this shop before, a new feature in the last 20 years. He scrolls past the basic items, seeing he has more than enough points. But then, his eyes lock onto something truly unexpected. A rare, cursed sword from a legendary blacksmith. He's stunned to see a creation of Kindra here, but another item catches his eye. A holy sword that reduces fatigue. He's torn between raw power and a safer, more practical choice. This first purchase will set the tone for his entire journey. As he weighs his options, his gaze drifts downward. He realizes he can scroll even further down the list. And there he finds it, a skill that reduces the side effects of other abilities. He realizes this could negate the drawbacks of his lightning powers and the cursed sword. With a confident smirk, he buys both the skill and the blade. Decision made. Huger approaches, noting his choice of the cursed sword. He introduces himself, complimenting the powerful synergy, but he questions the logic of picking such an unknown skill. Subaru seems less than thrilled to have to explain his master plan. He asks if Subaru really expects him to explain himself. Huger quickly backpedals, saying he'll let it slide this time. A memory surfaces of a much younger, nervous-looking Huger. The kid was a fan, timidly asking for an autograph. And the person he was asking was none other than the legendary Subaru. Young Huger begged, saying even just a signature would be enough. Back in the present, Huger grumbles about today's youth, but Subaru fires back about his hairline. He tells the proctor to just keep his results a secret. Hyuger puffs out his chest, vowing to teach the boy some manners. He then tries to recruit Subaru into his guild, an offer that is immediately shut down. A system window appears, and Subaru accepts the transfer to the next floor. Hyuger can only watch as the rookie teleports away without a second thought. Left alone, the proctor sighs, admitting he completely misjudged the kid. Subaru's feet touch down in a new, unfamiliar place. He's arrived on floor 2, the land of beginnings. Looking over the bustling city, he knows he's finally back. He's been given a chance that no one else ever gets. A second attempt to set things right. And because he's been here before, he has to do better this time. For the comrades who might be waiting, and for the brutal end they all met. He finds himself in a private training room, ready to get to work. The receptionist asks which floor he's from, and Subaru simply says he just arrived. The man points him to room 1, the standard for beginners. But Subaru ignores the advice, asking for room 5 instead. The receptionist warns him he's wasting his money, but our boy is undeterred. He walks off, leaving the man to shout that there are no refunds. He understands the skepticism. The higher rooms are for high-level players. He draws his new weapon, and the nameless cursed sword recognizes its user. The blade's power surges through him, but his new skill fights back against the corruption. The resistance fails, and his fatigue rises, but he's determined to push on. The cursed sword drains his stamina, boosting his stats in return. He grits his teeth, accepting that this is his body's current limit. But it's all part of the plan, as he uses credits to level up his new skill. He leans on the blade, a system window detailing the skill's true purpose. Now at level 2, the skill partially resists the sword's curse. He tries again, the blade's corrupting energy surging around him. And this time, he successfully tames the power. With a burst of speed, he dashes forward. It's time to test the true strength of his new weapon. Meanwhile, the receptionist is having a nice little nap at his desk. He wakes with a start, drool dripping from his chin. He wonders if he's dreaming, or just seeing things. A bloodied figure walks out of the training room hallway. He realizes it's the kid from room 5, and it hasn't even been 10 minutes. Concerned, he goes to check on the dreamer boy. He cautiously cracks open the door to room 5, and his eyes widen in complete and utter disbelief. The entire training room has been reduced to rubble, so much for the security deposit. Later, sunlight streams through a window. Subaru wakes up, stretching his stiff muscles. He reflects that it's a good thing the sword was a failed creation. Sitting in a tavern, he feels the physical strain has finally eased. He checks his stats, knowing he shouldn't even be able to lift the sword. The synergy between the skill and the blade is undeniable. With a confident smile, he realizes it will work with his lightning too. But his good mood vanishes when he sees his credit balance. To think the legendary Subaru is now worried about pocket change. His thoughts are interrupted by a loud streamer nearby. The streamer celebrates a massive donation from a fan, and in their excitement, promptly spills their drink everywhere. Classy. Subaru looks down, watching the streamer get mocked for his antics. A flicker of an idea crosses his mind. He pulls up his player kit, reading about live streaming. He realizes it's a way to earn credits, but a voice calls his name. A well-dressed man with silver hair approaches him. The man walks closer, asking if Subaru is staying here. But Subaru's new body instinctively recoils from the man. He realizes this isn't disgust. It's pure, primal fear. Shaking, he manages to say that he just arrived. The man sits down beside him, a look of surprise on his face. He mocks him, saying even trash like him cleared the tutorial. Subaru's eyes narrow as a memory surfaces. The body's original owner, Isaac, beaten and terrified. The man stood over him, calling him trash for no reason at all. He'd hated Isaac from the start, for a crime he never committed. Isaac could only cry that he didn't have enough money. The man struck him down for daring to talk back. He then declared a pile of garbage to be Isaac's new home, and warned him to never crawl out again. In the present, Subaru finally understands why he woke up in a trash can. The man brags about his own tutorial, clearing step 20. He boasts about getting a top-tier B-rank skill as a reward. As the man gets up to leave, Subaru takes a sip of his drink. The bully then orders him to grab coffee and snacks. He facepalms, annoyed that his usual punching bag isn't responding. He asks if Subaru swapped souls with someone. "You have no idea, buddy." Subaru stands, telling him to buy his own coffee. The man's face darkens as he gives a single cold command to sit. But Subaru has his own revenge to plan, and no time for this kid's drama. The bully's eyes widen, stunned by this sudden defiance. The bully grabs him by the arm, his patience clearly worn thin. His eyes glow with a menacing red as he threatens the runaway trash. But Subaru just glares back, telling him to let go for his own good. The tension in the tavern rises as the other patrons watch on. The man warns him not to get cocky, calling him by his new name. His gaze is filled with a cold, simmering rage. Subaru knows he can't make a scene here. It would only hurt him in the long run. Suddenly, the bully's expression shifts into a wide, mocking laugh. He lets go, saying he was just messing around like old times. He continues to taunt him, assuming he barely scraped by the tutorial. He takes a step closer, his posture radiating pure arrogance. And then comes the classic, "Do you know who my father is?" threat. He pats Subaru's arm, calling him friend, as he finally turns to leave. Subaru watches him go, scoffing at the very idea. A system window explains the two main paths for player growth. The first is the path of trials, a safe but steady climb. Players can grow stronger in virtual spaces where death isn't permanent. The second, more dangerous path is hunting. This involves fighting monsters in the real world for faster growth. But the risk is absolute. If you die here, you die for good. Most players avoid this path, unwilling to risk their lives. But Subaru has already made his choice. He sits beside a fallen orc, knowing the safer route is far too slow. The riskier path is faster, and he has no time to waste. He pulls out his player kit, ready for the next step. He scrolls through the device, looking for a way to earn credits, and finds a popular streamer, using his old name and mask. Of course, the man hypes up his massive audience for the Floor 3 trial. Subaru can only wonder how many copycats are out there now. The streamer gets a huge donation to act like an idiot, and happily accepts. He's stunned to see the streamer is also getting missions from his viewers. Fans with some creative usernames post challenges with credit rewards. The impersonator soaks in the attention, promising his fans a victory. A harsh reality check. The fake makes easy money while the real deal risks his life. Subaru looks at his own pathetic balance, then back at the stream. He stares at the impersonator's face, a dark look in his eyes. With a sigh, he stands over the fallen orc, his work far from over. A determined grin spreads across his face as he decides to go for one more run. A massive foot stomps down, signaling the arrival of a new threat. A fresh horde of orcs emerges from the darkness, their eyes glowing red. A system window announces the appearance of the boss, an orc general. Subaru faces them down, confident he has something better than needles this time. The cursed sword drains his stamina, but his new skill fights back, recovering his power. He declares that he has no time to waste on small fry. He launches himself off an orc's head and into the fray. He becomes a whirlwind of red energy, carving a path through the horde. The orc general can only watch as Subaru closes the distance. His eyes glow with power as he unleashes his final attack. Later, back in his room, he holds his old mask in his hands. He finally understands how the streamers make their money. He decides he'll do it his way, using his own strengths. He puts on the mask, his eyes glowing with a familiar, dangerous light. He walks out of the room, ready to show everyone who the real deal is. A system window confirms it. The live stream has started. The scene shifts to the headquarters of Suiton Entertainment. Inside, a modern office sits quiet and empty. A woman with a hair ornament watches a stream, her expression unreadable. She bites her lip, a flicker of frustration in her eyes. She suddenly kicks a blue-haired man, sending him flying across the room. She slams her fist on the desk, furious that her team of 5 failed their mission. The blue-haired man complains that everyone is just cosplaying Subaru. The woman calls them disrespectful amateurs who don't know the basics. She then calls him out for giving up on the tower himself. She admits she quit too, saying it just got boring. With a sharp threat, she tells him to go find some real talent. He explains that she only ever climbed to meet the real Subaru in the first place, but his attention is suddenly caught by something on his screen. He tells her he's found someone impressive. She scoffs, asking if it's just another Subaru cosplayer. He shows her the stream. Our boy, live in a cave. The woman is furious he's watching a stream with only one viewer. He tries to explain, but she's clearly not having it. He admits that seeing the mask always gives him a sliver of hope. A hope that the legend might one day return. She threatens him with a fine, and he immediately begs for forgiveness. Classic office politics. Back in the cave, a system window announces the Floor 2 trial. The objective is simple: clear the dungeon and get out. Subaru walks into the darkness, player kit in hand. He admits that knowing someone is watching adds a little pressure. His viewer count ticks up to 2. A user asks if this is his first time in the dungeon. Subaru looks at the chat and confirms that it is. The viewer expresses concern, but their chat is cut short. A monster, a one-eyed bat, lunges from the shadows. Subaru catches the creature with one hand, completely unfazed, and with a single motion he crushes it against the ground. A system window confirms the kill, awarding him a single point. He looks back at his device, asking if there was a problem. The Floor 2 trial officially begins. His viewer count is now 3, and they're impressed by his reflexes.
He becomes a whirlwind of dark energy.
And his viewers can only ask what just happened. He explains that if you just listen, you can tell where they're coming from. The chat calls him out, accusing him of being a high-level player in disguise. He simply replies that if they understand the concept, they should be able to do it too. But he knows he has a long way to go and needs all the points he can get. His viewers assume he's just getting lucky, walking blindly into the dark. But every step is deliberate, every glance filled with purpose. He looks up to find the entire ceiling covered in monsters. 1,000 red eyes stare back at him. As the horde descends, his viewers are sure it's game over. One even posts a troll mission: defeat everything for 100 credits. The chat calls it bait, a scummy move to make on a new player. But Subaru just calmly accepts the donation. Back at the entertainment company, the blue-haired man slams his fist down. He's furious that the streamer he was betting on just dropped out. He quickly apologizes to his boss for the outburst, but she's completely engrossed in her own screen. He asks what she's watching, noting how quiet she is. He panics, thinking she's mad about his gambling habits again, but she cuts him off, her eyes locked on the stream. She whispers a single name: Narukami Subaru. The man's expression shifts to pure disbelief. On the screen, Subaru carves through the swarm with impossible grace. The blue-haired man can only stare, muttering that Subaru is amazing. A memory surfaces of a younger Subaru, training with a white-haired man. The man notes that he's not just swinging, he's predicting every single move. The younger Subaru simply listens, his focus absolute. When asked what he's thinking, he says nothing at all, earning a laugh from his mentor. The memory ends, with Shiger insisting his skills are anything but normal. Back in the present, he explains his simple strategy to the chat. The one-eyed bats always lunge straight forward when they attack, creating more openings the larger their numbers are. He demonstrates with a single devastating sweep of his blade. His viewers are completely lost, saying his explanation was useless. Subaru can only sigh, admitting that communication is hard. A viewer reminds him to collect his reward for the mission. He pulls out his player kit, a little unsure of what to do. The chat asks why he's suddenly spacing out, because the legendary player has no idea how to use the new system. Thankfully, a helpful viewer walks him through the process. He successfully claims his 100 credits, a small but vital victory. With his funds secured, he announces one final push into the dungeon. Back at Suiton Entertainment, the night is anything but quiet. The woman is completely captivated, while her subordinate is losing his mind. He calls her crazy, but she asks if he's ever seen anything like it. She leaps to her feet, completely swept up in the moment. She realizes the streamer's name is Narukami Subaru, and it must be fate. She wonders if he could be the legend Reborn, much to her subordinate's dismay. Overcome with excitement, she feels a bit faint. But her employee, Kiyoharu, knows exactly what she's planning. She asks what's wrong with scouting him, but he points out he's a nobody. They bicker, with Kiyoharu worried about getting in trouble again. But her mind is made up, a determined look on her face. She continues to watch the stream, her focus absolute. Meanwhile, Subaru reaches a massive set of doors. He's finally arrived at the end of the dungeon. He pushes open the heavy stone gates, revealing what lies beyond. And there sits the boss, Wolf Warrior Greg. A system window explains the new objective: earn the boss's recognition. He recalls that wolf warriors aren't just monsters, but gatekeepers. A new mission pops up from a viewer, offering 3,000 credits to defeat the wolf. Subaru's eyes widen at the massive reward. Suddenly, things just got personal. His viewers mock the mission, saying the boss isn't even meant to be fought. The massive wolf warrior slowly begins to stir. It rises to its full, intimidating height. This is Wolf Warrior Greg, the gatekeeper of Floor 2. His glowing eyes fixate on the lone challenger. Subaru stands his ground, ready to face the beast. But the warrior seems surprised to see him alone. He asks if Subaru is really by himself, and our boy just scoffs. The wolf leans in closer, noting something strange. He can smell the scent of a great warrior on him. Subaru learns that the wolf tribe can distinguish special scents. They don't just smell body odor, but a person's true nature. And because of that, Greg declares he already has the right to pass. The trial is over, and the gatekeeper tells him to go on ahead. Subaru is stunned. This never happened in his previous life. But he tells the beast his objective is not the door, but him. The wolf is confused, questioning his intentions. Subaru explains that someone paid him to take him down. Greg seems to understand, accepting the challenge of a fellow warrior. Meanwhile, back at Suiton Entertainment, the office is quiet. The woman and Kiyoharu stand before their superior. The man's fingers fly across the keyboard. This is John Tail, the department head, and he wants to know about this streamer. Kiyoharu nervously admits he only has about 20 viewers. His boss corrects him, saying the count just passed 30. Not exactly helping, lady. John Tail looks up, his expression anything but pleased. John Tail's anger grows, but the woman points out the viewer count is rising. Back in the dungeon, Subaru faces the towering gatekeeper. The wolf warrior lets out a roar, ready for battle. Subaru tightens his grip on the cursed blade, clearing his mind. The sword's power surges, draining his stamina to boost his stats. But his new skill pushes back against the curse's backlash. The wolf warrior lunges forward with incredible force, and Subaru meets the attack head-on, a clash of steel and claw. The beast raises its massive claw for another strike, but Subaru stands firm, blocking the devastating blow. The sheer force of the impact cracks the ground beneath him. The wolf seems surprised by the human's unexpected strength. Subaru knows he can't win a contest of pure raw power, but the gatekeeper is impressed, acknowledging him as a true warrior. Guess he passed the vibe check after all. He leaps into the air, preparing another powerful assault. The beast declares that the human is still no match for him. Subaru tightens his grip, ready for what's coming next. He parries the strike, his viewers watching in disbelief. They can't believe a rookie is holding his own against such a monster. Subaru creates some distance, knowing brute force isn't the answer. He smirks, telling the warrior that he's been entertained. The wolf declares the fight is over and lunges for the final blow. But Subaru coolly replies that's his line to say. He's already moved, calling the beast's attacks far too predictable. And because of that, they're incredibly easy to dodge. He leaps into the air, landing a clean strike across the warrior's back. He lands perfectly, preparing to follow up with another attack. A flash of red energy cuts through the darkness. His eyes glow with a cold, focused intensity. The wolf warrior collapses, calling him a splendid warrior with his final breath. A system window confirms his level up, with stats rising accordingly. He's earned 500 achievement points, but the battle has taken its toll. He confirms his victory as his viewers explode in disbelief. The mission is cleared, and 3,000 credits are sent to his account. With the gatekeeper defeated, the door to the next stage opens. But inside, he's surprised to find two possible paths forward. He's presented with a wall of plaques, each representing a different trial. His viewers explain that this choice will lock in his entire playstyle. But one trial in particular calls to him, the Trial of Thunder. With a look of grim determination, he accepts the challenge. After all, if he backed out here, he'd have to change his name. And with that, he steps into the light, ready for whatever comes next. Back at Suiton Entertainment, the woman watches the stream, captivated. She and her team erupt in celebration as Subaru clears the trial. She boasts about his insane growth, already at 60 viewers and 13 missions. Even John Tail has to admit that defeating the Wolf Warrior is impressive. But he's still a rookie, and jumping the gun would be a massive risk. So the woman decides to sweeten the deal, proposing a little bet. If Subaru fails, she and Kiyoharu get a 5-year salary freeze. Her subordinate is less than thrilled. Kiyoharu desperately tries to escape his boss's high-stakes gamble. John Tail is skeptical, reminding her that only the original Subaru ever learned thunder. But she just smiles, saying they'll never know unless they let him try. The chief accepts the bet, sealing Kiyoharu's financial fate. The Trial of Thunder begins, and Subaru is enveloped in crackling energy. He finds himself in a forest, but a sudden shout warns him of danger. He tackles another player, pushing them both out of harm's way. An explosion tears through the spot where they just stood. A massive stone creature, a giant fragment, looms over them. The man he just saved yells at him for spacing out. "You're welcome, I guess." A new mission appears as Subaru wonders why this monster is even here. His viewers are just as confused, wondering why a monster from a different trial is here. Subaru's eyes narrow, knowing this boss is supposed to appear much later. The giant fragment lets out a deafening roar, ready to attack. It brings its massive fist crashing down. But Subaru is already on the move, his blade at the ready. He notes that it's big and clumsy, nothing compared to Greg. Deciding to end this quickly, he activates the power of his cursed sword. The giant swings its massive arm, but Subaru meets the attack head-on. He easily sidesteps the clumsy blow. The attack shatters the ground where he just stood. He uses the monster's own arm as a springboard, launching himself into the air with a burst of red energy. The other player can only watch in awe as he soars past the giant's head. He lands perfectly on its shoulder, running up its back, and drives his cursed blade deep into the monster's neck. The giant thrashes in agony as Subaru holds on tight. His eyes glow with a cold fury as he tells the beast it's too noisy, and that it's time to stay quiet for the rest of its life. With a final, brutal strike, he silences the creature for good. The light fades from the giant's eyes. Its massive body collapses as a system window confirms Stage 4 is cleared. A flood of notifications announces his level up and stat increases. He's also acquired new items, including the legendary Thunder Armor. The other player is stunned to see the massive reward for clearing 4 stages at once. He cautiously approaches Subaru. His entire demeanor changed. He asks what exactly Subaru is, and our boy just looks back. He declares that he's here to slay giants. A bit on the nose, but will allow it. The scene shifts to a peaceful village nestled in the mountains. The player he saved leads him through the quiet streets. Later, Subaru sits alone in a room, checking his player kit. His viewers are clamoring to see the loot he just earned. He admits he's just as curious himself. The first item is a rare accessory, the giant's heart, and the second is the legendary Thunder Armor itself. His viewers are so impressed, a new mission appears. A flood of donations pour in, all for the same goal. He thanks them, promising not to disappoint. He realizes just how many people are waiting for this, and that his past self was an even greater legend than he remembered. Just then, the door to his room creaks open. The man he saved has returned, with a knight in tow. This is Sir Peleus, captain of the village knights. He seems a little tense. They explain that the village is under constant threat. The giant's raids have become more and more frequent, making an outsider like Subaru a rare sight indeed. Peleus thanks him for protecting the village in his absence. Subaru brushes it off, but his mind is elsewhere. The captain announces they found the giant's leader, and that they intend to end this threat for good. Swallowing his pride, the captain begs for his help. He pleads for Subaru to help save their home, but Subaru's eyes narrow as a memory surfaces. A grim premonition of what's to come. He knows that in the next stage, Peleus dies. He reaches out a hand, telling the knight he'll help. The two warriors shake hands, sealing their pact as Stage 5 begins. The village knights march out to face their enemy. Subaru marches with them, checking his player kit. The chat is flying by, making it impossible to read. Suddenly, Peleus calls the entire party to a halt. He points to a massive figure resting in the distance. That is the giant chief, their ultimate target. Peleus lays out the plan. He'll draw its attention while Subaru strikes. But Subaru places a hand on his shoulder, stopping him cold. The knight looks back, confused by the sudden halt. Subaru steps forward, a strange energy beginning to radiate from him. Peleus and his men can only watch, stunned by this change. Through his mask, Subaru warns them that the chief is not alone. As if on cue, the giant's massive eye snaps open. It glares at them, its gaze filled with ancient malice. And from the ground, a horde of smaller giants begins to rise. An entire army emerges from the earth, ready for battle. Peleus can only stare in horror. So much for a stealth mission. The giants immediately begin their assault, grabbing the terrified knights. The soldiers are completely overwhelmed by the sudden, brutal attack. The carnage is reflected in the eyes of a horrified knight. A giant grins, reveling in the chaos it has created. Peleus screams for his men to fall back and retreat. But the giants are relentless. A tide of pure destruction. A young knight is struck down in the chaos. His brother screams, held back by his comrades. He can only watch as his sibling falls before the monster. Peleus stands his ground, issuing a final, desperate order to retreat. He reminds them of their families and the village they must protect. He tells another knight to lead the survivors to safety. The knight looks back, understanding the captain's sacrifice. Peleus turns to Subaru, telling him he must run as well. But Subaru just smirks, his cursed sword glowing with power. The captain is stunned, asking why he isn't retreating with them. Subaru explains that if they stay, they'll just die together. But Peleus refuses to abandon an outsider. He tells Subaru to hold on until he returns with reinforcements. With a final plea for him to stay safe, the captain charges off. As the giants continue their relentless charge, Subaru stands alone, ready to face the entire army. He declares that their opponent is him, and him alone. He becomes a blur of motion, weaving through the chaos. He dodges their clumsy strikes with practiced ease. The giants can only watch, bewildered by his speed. A system window confirms his first 2 kills. He admits that being the one left behind feels strange. Meanwhile, Peleus continues his desperate retreat. But something makes him stop and look back. A look of dawning horror crosses his face. He realizes the impossible truth of the situation. His viewers know this is a suicide mission, but Subaru knows he can change their fate. He can save everyone, including the man fated to die. He carves a path through the horde, each strike a testament to his renewed purpose. The cursed sword drains his stamina, boosting his power, but he knows he's on a timer. His first priority is to find the chief. He uses the giants as springboards, raining down destruction from above. The monsters try to grab him, but he's just too fast. He lands a brutal kick right to a giant's face. His viewers recognize the legendary aerial style. His new skill resists the curse, recovering his stamina. He stands ready as the remaining giants close in. He knows he has to take down the boss before his body gives out. And through the chaos, he finally spots his target. The giant chief grins, a look of pure malice on its face. It swings its massive club, ready to crush the lone human. But Subaru knows this is an all-or-nothing attack. The giant prepares to meet his charge head-on. With a silent prayer, he prepares to unleash his power. But he's not relying on his sword for this one. He unleashes the legendary skill, Thunderclap. A massive burst of lightning echoes across the battlefield. The giants are stunned, their senses completely overwhelmed. Even the chief is caught off guard by the sudden assault. It roars in fury, stunned by the human's power. He uses the opening to drive his cursed blade deep into its flesh. He pushes deeper, channeling all his remaining strength. The attack tears through the giant's defenses. His eyes burn with a cold, unwavering focus. The chief can only stare in disbelief as its life fades. A final, brutal strike ends the battle for good. And with a final crash, the massive beast falls. A system window confirms Stage 5 has been cleared. He's rewarded with a double level up and a flood of new stats. His viewers are losing their minds, realizing he beat an unbeatable stage. He knows this is where the hero strikes a cool pose, but his body didn't get the memo. The sky above him begins to crackle with a strange energy. The remaining giants look on, confused by this new development. A system window confirms his skill has failed to resist the sword's curse. He stumbles forward, his body finally hitting its absolute limit. He remembers a crucial and very inconvenient detail about this trial. Even if the boss is dead, the minions don't disappear until the stage is truly over. He grits his teeth, his body screaming in protest. The mechanic he exploited has come back to haunt him. His strength is completely gone, his vision fading, and the remaining giants begin to close in for the kill. Suddenly, a massive burst of golden light erupts. It tears through the battlefield, consuming everything. Subaru looks up, battered but somehow still standing. A giant's fist is stopped by a shimmering golden barrier. The scene shifts to a quiet, sun-drenched forest. Light filters through the canopy of ancient trees. A secluded cabin sits nestled in the woods. On the porch, a woman with dark hair relaxes in a rocking chair. She's completely absorbed by something on her player kit. A man with long white hair steps out of the cabin. He asks what she's doing, and she just says she's enjoying the weather. She adds that this peace won't last much longer. They both look out, agreeing that their time is running out. The white-haired man says it's almost time to end it all. She notes that he always gets that look when things get serious. He leans in, asking what has her so captivated. She shows him the screen, explaining it's a streamer named Narukami Subaru. The man's eyes widen in shock, screaming Subaru's name. She calmly explains it's just another impersonator on floor 2. She tells him he already knows the truth. If the real Subaru had survived, Itsuki would have been dealt with long ago. She looks at him with sad eyes, stating that Subaru is dead, and that it's finally time for him to accept it. He turns to leave, but she calls out the name Shigur. She asks how long he plans to hide in the shadow of a dead kid. He turns back, asking why she's watching the stream in the first place. She claims she's just killing time, a casual excuse. But her eyes widen in absolute shock at what she sees on screen. Shigur snatches the device, demanding to know why she still holds on to hope. But as he looks at the screen, his own expression shatters in disbelief. Back on the battlefield, the golden barrier shatters the giant's fist. The light expands in a massive wave, consuming the entire battlefield. The remaining giants are completely vaporized by the holy power. Subaru looks on, battered but alive as the light finally fades. A system window confirms he's acquired the Thunder skill and a choice to move on. Now clad in his new Thunder armor, he sees his chat is losing its collective mind. His viewers realize the secret to the skill was beating the impossible boss. But Subaru knows this isn't how he learned it the first time. A system window details his new A+ rank skill as he faces the last of the monsters. A flood of mission rewards pour in, his viewers making it rain credits. He offers a genuine thank you for their overwhelming support. He then mentions he's heard streamers are supposed to put on a little show. The remaining monsters let out a final, desperate roar, and Subaru promises to show them something special. He immediately spends his new credits to level up his resistance skill. Now at level 3, it pushes back against the backlash of his new Thunder ability. He decides to contain the power for now, focusing it in his right hand. He faces the charging horde, lightning crackling around his fist. The monsters swarm him, their faces twisted with mindless rage. He channels the raw lightning directly into his cursed sword. A massive aura erupts as he decides to cut loose like the old days. He becomes a whirlwind of red and black energy, tearing through the horde. He lands, catching his breath amidst the carnage. He curses, realizing he was supposed to save some energy to get back. Whoops. Looking over the field of fallen monsters, he admits he misjudged his own power. He grips his sword as he sees a group approaching in the distance. It's Peleus leading his knights back into the fray. Subaru turns to face them, his body screaming with exhaustion. His eye narrows, a flicker of annoyance in his gaze. He can only think of the knight as an idiot for returning. But he's also surprised they came back for him at all. Back at Suit and Entertainment, the woman stares at her player kit. She's in the middle of a full-blown emotional crisis. John Tail asks if her little bet was really worth all this drama. She buries her face in her hands, completely mortified. She's panicking, wondering what the streamer must think of her now. She frets that her recruitment offer came off as too cold and professional. John Tail reminds her that it was, in fact, a business message. But she explodes, declaring that she's a hardcore fan first. She stands to face her boss, her passion reignited. She declares that the legendary Thunder skill now has a new owner. Even John Tail is impressed, admitting the kid is one to watch. But her excitement returns as she gets a notification. She's overjoyed to see that Subaru has read their message. A joy that immediately turns to ash as she sees he left her on red. Her soul visibly leaves her body, a truly devastating blow. Elsewhere, a new player enters the scene. A streamer surrounded by high-tech gear, ready to begin his broadcast. He's known for his sharp analysis of other players' combat styles. A man who has built a career on breaking down his rivals. His online handle is simply Hawkeye. He's analyzed countless players, from rising stars to established pros. Even the traitor Itsuki has fallen under his analytical gaze. But he knows that the true legend of Lightning is the original Subaru. And today, he's turning his attention to the new kid on the block. He tells his massive audience to give the rookie a chance. Hawkeye can only laugh, completely blown away. He marvels at the rookie's impossible level of focus. He explains that Subaru is controlling the new skill perfectly, channeling just enough power into his blade without wasting a drop. He declares that this kid is going to be a huge name, and that Hawkeye will be keeping a very close eye on him. He almost forgets to give his final signature comment. Gotta build that brand. And his verdict is a bombshell for the entire community. He declares that in terms of control alone, this rookie might already surpass the original Subaru in his prime. A statement that sends shockwaves through the player base. Back in his room, Subaru finally collapses onto the bed. System windows confirm his fatigue has recovered, offering to pause the trial. He decides to put the trial on hold, his mind still exhausted. He pulls out his player kit, ready to end the stream. He thanks everyone for watching, and is stunned to see over 700 viewers. He announces he'll be taking a one-day break. And with that, the live stream officially ends. He teleports out of the trial space, finding himself back in the waiting room. He stands alone in the vast, empty space. He finally looks at the message from Suit and Entertainment. His first thought is that it must be spam, but the name of the company rings a bell. Later, he finds himself sitting in a quiet cafe. He takes a moment to process everything that's happened. He looks up the company, learning it's a major network for streamers. A big one, at that. The world really has changed. He then sees the article about Hawkeye's stream. Realizing the blunt commentator works for Suiton as well, he scoffs, dismissing the streamer as a rookie who just hit floor 2. He seethes with rage, vowing to deal with Hawkeye himself, and crushes his player kit under his boot for dramatic effect. He storms off, complaining about his terrible morning, but a sinister smile crosses his face as he spots a familiar target. He complains that the name Subaru is haunting him everywhere he goes. Our boy just sits quietly, scrolling through his device. The bully looms over his table, ready to start trouble, and promptly knocks Subaru's coffee all over the table. Real smooth. Subaru leaps back, startled by the sudden hot mess. He looks up, a flicker of annoyance in his eyes. The bully offers a fake apology, recognizing him from before. He remarks that they seem to be running into each other a lot. Subaru just picks up his player kit, completely ignoring him. The bully offers to buy him a new coffee, mocking his lack of funds. His eye twitches, his patience clearly wearing thin. Subaru simply turns to leave, having no time for this. He glances back, warning the bully to stay out of his way. The man grabs him by the collar, his temper finally snapping. He threatens to crush him just like he did in the past. But Subaru calmly grabs his hand. He explains that he doesn't have time for this and breaks the grip. The bully is stunned, shocked by his unexpected strength. Subaru walks away, telling him to consider the coffee paid for. The bully can only watch, sputtering in disbelief. Subaru walks out the door without a second glance. The door swings shut, leaving the bully alone with his rage. He sighs, frustrated that his plan to climb quietly has been ruined. He clenches his fist, furious at both Subarus for getting in his way. And with a final, angry stride, he storms off to plot his revenge. He remembers something he'd almost forgotten. A message he'd left unread. Elsewhere, the woman from Suiton Entertainment relaxes. Well, relaxing might be a strong word. She'd sent him a follow-up message, hoping for a reply. Meanwhile, Subaru is back to the grind. He grips his cursed sword, its power surging. He's arrived at the boss room of a new dungeon. His skill holds back the curse as he adapts to his new body. But a new threat emerges from the shadows. The dungeon's boss, a massive salamander, appears. Its eyes burn with a primal, fiery rage. He knows he needs to master his new thunder skill. And this is the perfect opportunity to test its limits. He channels the lightning into his legs, boosting his speed. He easily sidesteps the monster's clumsy lunge. For a moment, his old self seems to watch over him. The beast roars, enraged by the human's agility. He weaves through a torrent of flames. Now he channels the thunder into his cursed blade. His resistant skill fights back against the strain. But the power is too much, forcing his skill to level up. He pushes forward, a fusion of his past and present. He soars over the beast, ready to end this. And with a final strike, the dungeon is cleared. He steps out into the quiet of the forest. His fatigue is manageable, a testament to his new skill. But the cost to level it up again is astronomical. He sighs, wishing a job offer would just fall into his lap. But he knows he has to keep hunting to get stronger. But his quiet moment is interrupted by a figure in the shadows. The man steps forward, asking if he's out for a hunt. His eyes glow with a familiar, unwelcome light. It's the bully from the cafe, remarking on how surprising this is. Subaru just glares back, calling him persistent. The man admits he lost his temper earlier and couldn't hold back. He takes a step closer, a clear challenge in his stance. And with a smug grin, he suggests they call it even. Subaru's expression says he's not buying it for a second. The scene shifts to a bustling city at night. A man with his eyes covered by his hair walks through the streets. A hand reaches out, a voice telling him he's been found. The man, Hawkeye, now sits with a scarred, older man. The man greets him, asking how his streaming career is going. Hawkeye admits his numbers haven't really changed. The scarred man takes a sip of his drink, saying that's for the best. But Hawkeye cuts to the chase, asking why he was really summoned. The man asks about the rookie streamer, Narukami Subaru. He wants to know if Hawkeye really believes the kid is better than the original. A fire burns in Hawkeye's eye as he considers the question. The scarred man reveals he's thinking of scouting the rookie. Hawkeye agrees it's a good move, but points out his low viewer count. The man admits it's a risk, but Hawkeye's review gave him confidence. He then proposes a collaboration between the two streamers. It's their job, after all, to build up the rookie's reputation. Back in the forest, the bully notes that they're all alone. Subaru simply confirms that they are. The bully taunts him, saying this is what happens when you get cocky. He gets in Subaru's face, mocking him for thinking he's the real deal. His eyes burn with rage as he curses the name Subaru, telling him to stay dead. The bully grabs him by the collar, asking if he's right. Subaru sighs, lamenting this new era of fake Subarus. He has a question of his own, asking why the man hates him so much. He wonders if it's just his name, and why he hates it when everyone else loves it. The bully's eye twitches, a nerve clearly struck. He brings up his father again, and Subaru mocks him for it. A flashback reveals the bully's father, Reinhardt, a high ranker on floor 9. Subaru's eye widens in recognition. The legendary one-strike swordsman. The memory continues, showing a past battle of epic proportions. The original Subaru had defeated Reinhardt with a single devastating strike. The crater from the impact shows the sheer power of the attack. Reinhardt, bloodied and beaten, tries to get back to his feet, but Subaru's hand clenches, ready to end the fight for good. He finishes the battle, leaving the high ranker utterly defeated. Back in the present, the bully seethes with pure, unadulterated rage. He screams at Subaru not to dare say that name so lightly. Subaru finally puts the pieces together. The bully hates his father's title. He asks if the man has any idea how much the original Subaru suffered because of it. The bully erupts in a torrent of flames, telling him to shut up. But Subaru simply replies with a defiant no. He stands his ground, completely unfazed by the fiery display. The bully prepares to attack, his arm wreathed in fire. A system window appears, asking if he wants to enter a dungeon. The bully rants about how much he despises the original Subaru. He claims the Blue Eyes Guild went down with their arrogant leader. Subaru's eye glints with a cold, dangerous light. That hits a little too close to home. The bully sneers, saying it serves them right for their arrogance. He laughs, imagining the real Subaru rotting in hell for his actions, and declares that this new Subaru's fate was sealed by his name. He unleashes a massive explosive fireball. He gloats that his next target will be the masked streamer, but his eyes widen as a single word catches his attention. He stares into the inferno he created, searching for his opponent. A figure emerges from the flames, holding a familiar mask. The bully is blown back, his mind refusing to believe what he's seeing. He screams, asking how Subaru could be completely unharmed. Subaru calmly stomps out a lingering flame on his shoe. He tells the bully that being looked down on doesn't feel very good, and with a burst of speed, he closes the distance between them. He lands a devastating blow, sending the bully flying. The bully's eyes are wide with pure, unadulterated shock. Subaru forces him to the ground, his expression cold and unforgiving. The bully spits blood, completely and utterly defeated. Subaru stands over him, explaining that he hates when people badmouth his friends. The bully can only look up, asking how any of this is possible. Subaru offers him a simple pop quiz. He asks who the bully thinks is standing before him. Is it the new streamer Narukami Subaru? Or is it the legendary leader of the Blue Eyes Guild? The bully scoffs, still clinging to his denial. He dismisses the thunder skill, saying it's no big deal if trash can learn it. He questions if a nobody like him really thinks he can win. He claims this just proves he's better than the original Subaru. That's some impressive mental gymnastics. He screams, asking if he's right, and unleashes another massive torrent of flames. But Subaru cuts through the attack with a single, effortless slash. The bully can only stare, his confidence completely shattered. Subaru calmly tells him that was the wrong answer. The bully is terrified, asking what he means as the blade rests on his shoulder. Subaru asks if he has any idea how much the original owner of this body suffered. The bully stammers, finally realizing who he's facing. But it's far too late as Subaru lands a decisive blow. His eyes are cold as he declares that playtime is officially over. The bully's body collapses to the scorched earth. Subaru puts his mask back on, calling it more than enough service. He considers this payment for borrowing the body of the boy he just avenged. Later, back in a cafe, two waitresses wonder about the commotion. They dismiss him as an embarrassing fanboy, but note he's streaming. Subaru sits alone, deciding it's best not to show his face. After all, keeping his identity a secret is a powerful advantage. Suddenly, a woman rushes in, apologizing for being late. She's flustered, introducing herself as the one who contacted him. This is Hatsuka, his prospective manager from Suiton Entertainment. They shake hands, and she's completely starstruck. She blushes, remarking that he really does look like him. Subaru wonders if she's thinking about the real legend, and the possibility that he's returned behind a mask. He asks if something is wrong, snapping her out of her daze. A memory of her boss yelling about first impressions flashes in her mind. Well, so much for that. She grabs her hair, having a full-blown internal panic attack. Subaru asks if she was a fan of the original. She admits she's a diehard, but he tells her to relax since he's not the real one. But she quickly declares that she's his fan too. She begins to list off every detail of his streams with unnerving accuracy. Subaru asks if she's sure she's just his first viewer, since she remembers it better than he does. He smirks, finding it strange she was watching when he was still so new. She agrees, saying that's why she knew it was fate and begged to be his manager. She tells herself to pull it together and act like a professional. With a newfound composure, she pulls out the contract. She explains that Suiten will help build the Narukami Subaru brand. She quickly backpedals, insisting she's a total professional. But Subaru can sense her power, wondering why someone so strong is just a manager. He realizes this means his future opponents will be even stronger than he imagined. Hatsuka panics, worried she's already blown her one chance. But Subaru extends a hand, telling her she seems trustworthy. He looks forward to working with her, sealing the deal. She's completely overwhelmed, stammering that it's an honor. So much for playing it cool. Later, he starts his next stream, and the chat immediately explodes with excitement. His viewer count has already skyrocketed past 700. He's stunned by the numbers, realizing it must be Hatsuka's work. His new manager is already proving her worth. With that, he begins the next trial, the legend stage. He finds himself in a dark, rainy forest at a makeshift camp. Inside one of the tents, figures are gathered in the dim light. A group of knights huddles around a map, planning their next move. Their leader, Pelias, asks if their benefactor has arrived. But one of his men questions the wisdom of trusting an outsider. Another agrees, doubting that a lone stranger really defeated the giant chief. Pelias erupts in anger, defending the man who saved them. Just then, a knight announces that their benefactor has awakened, and Subaru appears. Pelias rushes to his side, but Subaru assures him he's fine. The other knights are less than impressed, calling him weak and his mask shady. Subaru simply asks if they don't believe what they've been told. He recalls Hatsuka teaching him a trick to hide his face while still talking to his viewers. He lets out a quiet laugh, and the chat immediately picks up on his confidence. An older knight steps forward, offering a hand in thanks. He introduces himself as Dale, one of the survivors. As they shake hands, Dale explains he was guarding the village when the giants attacked. His expression darkens as he recalls the true cause of the slaughter. Subaru realizes there's another, even greater threat lurking in the shadows. Dale begins to explain the true nature of the giants. The originals were sealed away long ago after warring with the gods. The ones they've been fighting are just remnants, echoes of the past. But the giant that appeared after the chief's death was different. He panics, realizing it's a true giant from legend, still alive. The chat erupts, comparing the new threat to a Floor 8 boss. Subaru simply states that if it's that strong, they just have to beat it. Easy peasy. The other knights are stunned by his unwavering confidence. They accuse him of talking big when he hasn't even faced it yet. But Peleus screams for them to stop defending his benefactor. He explains an old legend passed down through their village. At the peak of Millennium Mountain, fragments of lightning are hidden, and he believes with all his heart that only one person can find them, his gaze fixed on Subaru. A flashback shows the village burning under the giant's assault. The monsters tear through the streets, slaughtering everyone in their path. A massive, long-haired giant appears, vowing revenge for his son. He unleashes a devastating attack, sending a knight flying. The giant catches the soldier, ready to end him. He swears to lay his son to rest with the blood of humans. His bloodied hand reaches out, a look of pure malice on his face. The entire brutal memory is reflected in Subaru's eye. He now looks out at the massive beast, and the chat connects the dots. So it's a take your dad to work day kind of situation. He identifies the monster as the one-eyed guardian, and his viewers lose their minds. Peleus explains that it will take the giants 3 days to reach them. He tells Subaru to run if he can't find the lightning by then. Subaru begins his ascent up the mountain, knowing lightning is the key. He rejects the idea of failure, declaring there's no trial he can't clear. He immediately cringes, realizing his old catchphrase just slipped out. A flood of new missions appear, as he hopes no one noticed his little slip-up. He continues his climb, the rain doing little to slow him down. Peleus admits that the lightning fragments are just a myth. No one knows what they are or how to obtain them, but he's certain that a hero once used this power to save them. Elsewhere, Hatsuka gets a call from her boss. She erupts in celebration, screaming that the contract is signed. John Tail congratulates her on finally becoming a professional. She's not sure if that was a compliment, but she'll take it. He adds that Hawkeye wants to speak with her soon. With her work done, she collapses onto her bed. It's finally time to watch her favorite streamer. She gushes that seeing him in person and on screen is the ultimate fan experience. On the screen, Subaru's old catchphrase slips out. Her eyes widen as she recognizes the legendary words. She sits bolt upright, her mind reeling. A single tear falls as she realizes what she just heard. Back on the mountain, lightning strikes the peak. Subaru stands amidst the storm, his viewers going wild. He clenches his fist, ready to test his strength. He decides to go all out, channeling his power, and unleashes a devastating strike against the mountain itself. The very ground shatters from the force of the blow. With a confident smirk, he declares that he's found it. He stands over the crater, his search complete. He explains to his viewers that there's a massive power here, a force that's calling to his own thunder skill, and it's coming from behind a massive sealed door. He takes a steady step forward, ready to face it. His viewers wonder how he'll ever get through. He simply reaches out a hand to touch the ancient stone. He realizes the door itself is the key. His skill resists the backlash as he generates raw thunder. He clenches his fist, ready to answer the call. With all the power he can muster, he decides to just knock, very, very loudly. The ancient seal shatters under the force of his blow, and the path forward is finally revealed. The massive stone doors grind open, revealing a passage of pure, crackling energy. Subaru looks on, his resolve unshaken. He takes a single, steady step forward and walks into the heart of the storm. A system window confirms he's on the path of thunder, with no turning back. Meanwhile, the knights wait anxiously in the rain. Inside their camp, the mood is anything but hopeful. One of the knights questions Peleus's faith in the stranger, but the captain's belief is absolute. He insists that Subaru has already proven his strength. But Dale erupts, screaming that they're all doomed anyway. He points to a young knight paralyzed by fear. The boy is haunted by the memory of the giant's attack. Peleus tries to reason with him, saying they can't give up. He asks them to put their faith in the hero just this once. But the terrified knight can't see a path to victory. Suddenly, the entire camp is thrown into chaos. A mug topples over, a sign of the coming storm. A scout bursts in, screaming that the enemy has arrived. The knights can only stare in pure, unadulterated horror. The scene shifts to a vast frozen wasteland, and Subaru stands alone, ready for the true trial to begin. He wonders what exactly this trial wants him to do. His viewers are just as lost, seeing nothing in the empty passage. But Subaru explains that lightning is just scattered energy, and that's why, of course, they can't see it. He realizes this isn't a trial of sight, but of feeling. He can sense the powerful lightning calling to him from deeper inside. His eye widens as the true nature of the test becomes clear. He picks up a small stone from the frozen ground and throws it forward into the seemingly empty air. The stone is immediately enveloped in crackling golden energy. It flies through the air, the reaction growing stronger as it goes, until it finally explodes, leaving his viewers completely bewildered. Subaru knows this is the right path, but calls it a twisted one. He understands this is a test of pure endurance. If he can't withstand the constant damage, he'll die. Simple as that. A viewer sends a single credit taunting him for being scared, but his fans quickly flood the chat with missions and support. He thanks them for the rewards, his resolve unshaken. Elsewhere, a pot bubbles over a warm fire. Shiger sits alone, watching something on his player kit. He looks up, his expression serious and focused. Suddenly, the dark-haired woman from before enters the room. She startles him, asking what he's trying to hide. She teases him, wondering if he was watching something he shouldn't. He makes a flimsy excuse about his eyes being tired. A likely story. She continues to poke fun at him, this time about his long hair. She complains that she's been bored ever since he told her to stop watching the stream. He asks what she's doing, and she says she's just relaxing. He erupts in frustration, telling her not to worry about him. She covers her ears as he yells, telling her to relax all she wants. He quickly tries to hide his player kit, turning off the sound. She calls him out, saying he usually ignores everyone else. Calling him a weirdo, she gets up to leave in a huff. He offers for her to stay, but she's already on her way out. He watches her head upstairs, a bead of sweat on his brow. With a sigh of relief, he realizes he almost got caught. He looks back at the stream, knowing she'd make a huge fuss if she found out. His expression softens as he thinks about his old leader. He knows that Subaru would never have forgotten them. He can't help but notice how similar this new kid's personality is. But he knows the real Subaru would never scramble for credits like this. Suddenly, a hand rests on his shoulder, asking what he's really like. Shiger jumps, completely startled by her sudden return. Busted. She asks if he really thought she wouldn't notice his strange behavior. Her expression darkens as she tells him he's 100 years too early to fool her. Back in the trial, a system window confirms the path of thunder is open. Tears stream down Subaru's face as he endures the constant damage. He stands firm, his resolve unshaken by the pain. Golden lightning crackles around his feet, a sign of the trial's intensity. The energy surges through his entire body, a test of pure will. His hand clenches as he embraces the raw, untamed power. He recognizes this familiar feeling all too well. His eye glows with focus, knowing he's handled lightning more times than he can count. He takes a deep breath, knowing it's a long road ahead, but he takes a single steady step forward into the storm. He knows the goal is clear, and his viewers wonder why he isn't just running. He tells his chat that from here on, he won't be able to read their messages. He knows that simply making it to the goal is a given, but if possible, he wants something more than just survival. Elsewhere, Hawkeye watches the stream as a scarred man proposes a collaboration. The scarred man reminds Hawkeye of a simple truth. He explains that when it comes to streaming, skill alone isn't enough. But Hawkeye knows that popularity is just a reflection of the era's best players. The man agrees, noting Subaru's streams feel more like a pro's vlog than a rookie's. He suggests they just let the kid do his thing, spectator style. Because this is a chance for Hawkeye to ride the coattails of a rising star. A chance to become a legend in his own right. A fire ignites in Hawkeye's eye. The man calls him out for running from the tower out of fear. But Hawkeye just grins, admitting he wanted to be a star more than anything. His eyes reflect the cosmos he so desperately wants to conquer. A dream he thought was long dead. He reaches out, wondering if he can ever truly be like them. He snaps back to reality, startled by his own daydream. He's still just a guy in a chair. He wonders what he's doing, getting lost in thought during work. But his eyes lock onto the stream, screaming that Subaru is insane. On the screen, our boy endures the full force of the trial. His face is bloodied, his will etched in every line. He kneels, battered but not yet broken by the storm. His hand clenches, refusing to give in to the pain. And with a final push, he takes another step forward. He stands amidst the golden torrent, a silhouette of pure defiance. He gasps for air, the strain almost too much to bear. He knows the stronger the lightning, the deeper it sears into his very soul. He decides this is more than enough to work with. The lightning begins to flow, not just around him, but through him. A system window confirms it. A fine vein cleansing is in progress. Thunder now dwells within his body, a permanent part of his being. He reaches out, ready to make this power his own. The energy floods every last corner of his body, a complete and total fusion. He knows the original Subaru skipped this purification process, so he's taking a shortcut, using the trial's power instead of his own. It's a faster path, but the pain is almost unbearable. His body is torn apart by the raw, untamed energy. Elsewhere, the dark-haired woman watches the stream captivated. She can only see the impossible trial he's putting himself through. She realizes he's opening his fine veins right here, in the middle of a trial, and he's doing it while moving, using an external force. She knows the pain he's feeling must be beyond imagination. Because even though death in a trial isn't permanent, the agony is definitely not a simulation. She can't understand why anyone would go to such lengths. But his progress continues, the thunder becoming a part of him. As the pain intensifies, a memory floods his mind. He remembers the guilt of leading his friends to their end. He recalls his own arrogant words from that fateful day, the confident smile he gave them, promising a swift victory, the faces of the comrades who trusted him completely. And now the regret burns hotter than any lightning. If only his overconfidence hadn't pushed them forward, none of them would have had to die. He remembers Itsuki's final mocking words, the traitor's smile, blaming their own arrogance for their fall. And in the present, Subaru accepts the crushing weight of that guilt. He pushes forward, believing it was all his fault. He finally collapses, his body and spirit reaching their limit. The lightning fades as his consciousness slips away, but he wakes up not in darkness, but in a sunlit field. He looks around, completely bewildered by the sudden change, and sees his old guild alive and well, waiting by a campfire. He looks around, his expression a mix of shock and confusion. His eyes widen as he questions if they're really here. He sees them all, calling out the names of his fallen comrades. He takes a hesitant step forward into the sunlit field. But the vision shatters, and he wonders if it was all just a dream. He looks up at his friends, who seem so real. A tear of relief falls as he tries to convince himself it was just a nightmare. They greet him with smiles, asking about the bad dream he was having. But their faces twist into bloody masks, accusing him of leading them to their deaths. He can only stare in horror, whispering their names. They surround him, blaming his heroic words for their demise. A fallen comrade asks him why he failed to protect them. Her dying eyes reflect in his own, filled with accusation. The peaceful memory dissolves into a hellscape of blood and fire. He tries to speak, but only a choked cry escapes his lips. His mind is consumed by the screaming ghosts of his past. He's trapped in a vortex of his own guilt and regret. He reaches out, begging them to wait for him. He screams for them not to leave him behind again. The weight of his failure presses down on him. He collapses to his knees, his pleas echoing in the void. And with a final flash, the nightmare shatters. He's back in the trial, realizing it was all a hallucination. Well, that's one way to process trauma. A system window confirms the cleansing is nearly complete. He thanks the trial for reminding him why he's still alive. A figure appears in the golden light, a vision of his past self. Back in the village, the knights and townspeople have gathered. They stand ready with makeshift weapons, their faces etched with fear. The one-eyed guardian looms over them, its arrival far too soon. The giant grins, ready to bring its own brand of justice to the village. The knights panic, realizing the masked man has seemingly abandoned them. But Pelias screams that their benefactor will absolutely return. He turns on his men, furious that they would dare to doubt him now. He calls them a disgrace to the very name of knight. But Dale places a hand on his shoulder, telling him he's right. He reminds them all that their first duty is to protect this village. His own sword begins to glow with a powerful blue energy. He declares that knights are the ones who protect, not the ones who are protected. He slams his blade into the ground, a final defiant stand. With a powerful roar, he tells them to die as true knights. And with that, the last of the village's defenders charge into the fray. Back in the trial, a system window confirms Subaru's progress is at 99%. His eye bleeds, but his focus is absolute as the lightning rages. A golden orb of pure energy materializes before him. He knows this has to be the final goal of the trial. But his fatigue has skyrocketed to 97, pushing him to his absolute limit. He grits his teeth, knowing he just needs one more step. He pushes forward, ignoring the system's desperate warnings. His foot lifts, wreathed in the last of the trial's power. Back in the village, the one-eyed guardian stomps down with immense force. But Dale meets the attack head-on, his own power surging. He holds his ground, his sword at the ready, and unleashes a devastating slash against the giant's leg. The attack tears through the monster's flesh. The giant lets out a deafening roar of pure agony. The other giants continue their relentless assault on the knights. Peleus screams for his men, telling them to leave the rest to him. He stomps his foot, launching himself into the air. He becomes a blur of motion, soaring past the smaller giants. He prepares to land a decisive blow against the massive beast. He lands a devastating strike right on the giant's head. The monster's skull shatters as Peleus lands gracefully. The other knights erupt in cheers, believing they've won. They swarm the fallen beast, a frenzy of desperate strikes. Peleus thanks Dale, but the older knight's expression is grim. He clarifies that this wasn't the monster he was worried about. The others celebrate, dismissing the threat as overblown. A knight declares they just need to clean up the rest. Famous last words. But a massive fist comes crashing down from above. Peleus and Dale can only look up in horror as the true threat appears. The captain screams that this one is on a whole different level. Back in the trial, Subaru's progress hits 99.99%. He grabs the orb of pure energy, his trial finally complete. Through his mask, he makes a silent vow to his old friend, Itsuki. He turns and runs, a blur of golden lightning. The raw power of the trial now flows through his very being. He whispers a single word, his long ordeal finally over. He catches his breath, bloodied but victorious. His eye glows with a new, terrifying intensity. A system window confirms it. His body has been completely reforged by thunder. He stumbles backward, muttering that if you have one more hit in you, you could at least give a guy some warning first. He collapses onto the shattered ground as Stage 6 is officially cleared.